Israel launched a series of airstrikes against Iran. The strikes targeted key facilities connected to Iran's air defense systems and missile production capabilities. The damage inflicted was extensive, significantly disrupting Iran's ability to defend its airspace and develop advanced weaponry. The attack sent shockwaves through the region and beyond, raising fears of a wider conflict. This bold action by Israel represents a significant escalation in the ongoing shadow war between the two nations. It underscores the persistent tensions over Iran's nuclear ambitions and its support for regional proxies. The strikes have far-reaching consequences for regional stability and the delicate balance of power in the Middle East. The aftermath of the attack saw a flurry of activity, with both sides assessing the damage and preparing for potential retaliation. The international community watched with bated breath, urging restraint and calling for a de-escalation of hostilities. The strikes have ignited a powder keg in an already volatile region. The Israeli airstrikes inflicted substantial damage on Iran's air defense capabilities. Key facilities involved in the production and maintenance of radar systems, surface-to-air missiles, and command and control centers were hit. The strikes have set back Iran's efforts to modernize its air defenses. This leaves Iran more vulnerable to potential future attacks. The strikes also targeted facilities linked to Iran's ballistic missile program. Production lines, storage depots, and testing grounds were among the sites hit. The damage inflicted disrupts Iran's ability to develop and produce these missiles. This setback hampers Iran's ability to project power in the region. These strikes represent a significant blow to Iran's military capabilities. They expose vulnerabilities in Iran's defense infrastructure. The long-term impact on Iran's military strength remains to be seen. However, the strikes undoubtedly have dealt a major setback to Iran's defense programs. The Israeli airstrikes targeted locations in and around Tehran, the heart of Iran's political and military leadership. Strikes near the capital city carry significant symbolic weight. They demonstrate Israel's reach and its willingness to strike at the core of Iran's power structure. Beyond Tehran, the strikes targeted facilities in western Iran. This region is strategically important for Iran's defense industry and its ballistic missile program. Targeting western Iran aims to disrupt these programs and limit Iran's ability to threaten Israel and its allies in the region. The geographic spread of the strikes sends a clear message to Iran. Israel is willing to target key assets across Iran. This demonstrates Israel's resolve to counter what it perceives as Iranian aggression. The strikes also highlight the vulnerability of Iran's defense infrastructure. Following the strikes, Israeli officials indicated their assessment of the damage inflicted on Iran's defense capabilities. They believe that the strikes significantly degraded Iran's air defenses and missile production capabilities. They also assert that the strikes have set back Iran's military programs by months, if not years. However, Israel remains cautious about the long-term impact of the strikes. They acknowledge that Iran has a history of rebuilding and adapting its military infrastructure. They also recognize that Iran may seek to retaliate in response to the strikes. Israel remains on high alert, prepared to defend itself against any potential Iranian counterattacks. Despite the uncertainties, Israel views the strikes as a necessary step to curb Iran's military ambitions. They believe that the strikes have restored a degree of deterrence and bought valuable time. Israel remains committed to preventing Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons and will continue to take action to protect its security interests. Section 5. Iran's immediate response, a nation on high alert. Iran responded to the Israeli airstrikes with a mix of defiance and caution. Iranian officials condemned the strikes as an act of aggression and a violation of its sovereignty. They vowed to retaliate at a time and place of their choosing. This raises concerns about a potential escalation of hostilities in the region. Immediately following the strikes, Iran placed its military on high alert. Air defense systems were activated. Troops were deployed to sensitive locations. Iran also launched a diplomatic offensive, rallying international condemnation of the strikes and seeking support from its allies. Despite its strong rhetoric, Iran has so far refrained from a direct military response to the strikes. This suggests a degree of caution on the part of Iran. Tehran may be calculating its next move carefully, weighing the potential consequences of escalation against the need to respond to what it perceives as an act of war. Section 6. The world reacts. International condemnation and support. The Israeli airstrikes on Iran drew swift reactions from the international community. Many countries condemned the strikes, expressing concerns about the escalation of tensions in the region. The European Union, Russia and China all called for restraint and urged dialogue to resolve the crisis. The United States, while reiterating its commitment to Israel's security, expressed concern over the strikes. The Biden administration, which is seeking to revive the Iran nuclear deal, found itself in a delicate position. The strikes complicated these efforts. They highlighted the challenges of balancing support for Israel with the goal of preventing Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. Israel, however, received support from some quarters. Several Arab states, particularly those aligned with Israel against Iran, expressed understanding for Israel's actions. They share Israel's concerns about Iran's regional ambitions and its support for militant groups. Section 7. The U.S. role, a delicate balancing act. The Israeli airstrikes on Iran present a significant challenge for the Biden administration. The U.S. is caught between its commitment to Israel's security and its desire to revive the Iran nuclear deal. The strikes complicate these efforts and require a delicate balancing act from Washington. On the one hand, the U.S. understands Israel's security concerns and its right to defend itself. The Biden administration has reaffirmed its commitment to Israel's security and its right to take action against threats. This includes providing Israel with advanced military equipment and intelligence sharing. On the other hand, the US is concerned that the strikes could derail efforts to revive the Iran nuclear deal. The Biden administration views the deal as the best way to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons and to ease tensions in the region. The strikes, however, could make it more difficult to bring Iran back to the negotiating table. Section 8. The shadow of escalation, charting the uncertain future. The Israeli airstrikes on Iran have cast a long shadow over the Middle East. The strikes raise the specter of a wider conflict in the region. They also complicate efforts to revive the Iran nuclear deal. The coming days and weeks will be crucial in determining the trajectory of the crisis. One immediate concern is the potential for escalation. Iran has vowed to retaliate for the strikes. It is unclear what form this retaliation might take. However, it could include attacks on Israeli targets in the region or beyond. Iran could also target US interests or its allies in the region. Another concern is the impact on the Iran nuclear deal. The strikes could make it more difficult to bring Iran back to the negotiating table. Iran may be less willing to engage in diplomacy after being targeted by Israel. The strikes could also embolden hardliners in Iran who oppose the deal. Section 9. Shifting sands. The Middle East in the balance. The Israeli airstrikes on Iran have sent shockwaves through the Middle East, shaking the already fragile regional order. The strikes highlight the volatile dynamics at play in the region. They underscore the potential for miscalculation and escalation. The strikes come at a time when the Middle East is undergoing a period of significant transformation. The old order, characterized by US dominance and a focus on containing Iran, is giving way to a more multipolar system. Regional powers, including Iran, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Israel, are asserting themselves more forcefully. In this fluid and unpredictable environment, the potential for miscalculation is high. The Israeli strikes on Iran could trigger a chain of events that spirals out of control. This could lead to a wider regional conflict. Section 10. A dangerous game, the future of Iran-Israel relations. The Israeli airstrikes on Iran have further inflamed the already tense relationship between the two countries. The strikes are the latest chapter in a long-running shadow war. They diminish the prospects for a peaceful resolution of their differences. The two countries have been locked in a cycle of hostility and mistrust for decades. They have engaged in proxy conflicts, cyber attacks, and assassinations. The recent strikes represent a significant escalation in this conflict. The strikes make it even more difficult to envision a future where Iran and Israel can coexist peacefully. The two countries have fundamentally different visions for the region. They have a long history of animosity and mistrust.